The morning air under the bridge was cold and wet. Traffic roared above like a hungry lion, and the smell of smoke and dust mixed with yesterday's rain. Benjamin woke up on a piece of cardboard, his old coat wrapped tight around him. He rubbed his eyes, listened to his stomach growl, and told himself the same promise he made every day. Find food, find work, don't give up. He stood, stretched his sore back, and picked up the small nylon bag that held the last pieces of his life, 2 certificates, a photo of better days, and a pen that no longer wrote. He stepped out from the shadows into the weak light of the morning. Cars sped by, motorcycle horns beeped. Everyone was going somewhere. No one looked down. Benjamin moved along the concrete edge of the underbridge, checking the ground for any bread someone forgot. He did not think of yesterday or last year. Thinking too much hurt. Today would be simple. Get water. Find food. Try to find a small job. Then he heard it. I can't walk. Please, help me. The words were soft at first, almost like the wind. Benjamin stopped, frowning. Maybe it was a trick. Maybe it was the city playing with his ears. He looked around. Only broken bottles. A torn shoe. A metal bucket turned on its side. I can't walk. Please help me. He turned. She was there, half sitting, half lying on the rough ground near a concrete pillar. A young woman in a navy blue suit, the kind rich people wear to big meetings. Her clothes were stained with mud. One of her shoes was missing. Her hair, neat and smooth, now stuck to her sweaty face. Her lips were dry. She looked like someone who fell from the sky and landed in a place that did not know her name. Benjamin's heart kicked. He stepped closer, careful and slow. Madam, can you hear me? Her eyes moved to his face. They were bright but weak, like a candle almost dying. I can't stand. Please, help. I am dying. For a moment, fear held Benjamin. He was not a doctor. He was not a hero. He was a man with a torn coat and an empty pocket. But then he saw her hands shaking, her breathing short and fast, and something inside him pushed him forward. It's okay, he said softly. I'm here. He reached out his hand. She tried to lift her arm. Her fingers touched his palm, small and cold. She pushed, but her legs did not obey. She fell back with a small cry. Benjamin did not wait. He bent down, slid one arm under her knees and the other behind her back, and lifted. She was light, too light for someone dressed in power. Mud brushed his coat. Her perfume, faint and expensive, cut through the smell of smoke. Hold on to me, he said. She curled her fingers into his coat. She did not care about the dirt on his beard or the rough feel of his hands. She just held on, like a person holding a rope over deep water. Benjamin stepped out from under the bridge and into the road. He shouted at a taxi. It zoomed past. He waved at another. It slowed, looked at him, saw his clothes, saw the mud, saw the way he carried the woman, and sped away. A third taxi did the same. A bus driver laughed and shook his head. Please, Benjamin called out. She's sick. Help. No one stopped. He looked at the woman's face. Her eyes were closing. Stay with me, Benjamin whispered. Please, stay with me. Don't let me die, she breathed. He turned his back to the road and started walking. 1 step, 2 steps, 10. The hospital was far, but his legs did not ask questions. He carried her like a treasure the world could not see. Sweat ran down his neck. His arms burned. He kept talking to her. The way you talk to a child who is scared. What is your name? Her lips moved. Sophia. Okay, Sophia. My name is Benjamin. I'm taking you to the hospital. Just breathe. In and out. In and out. Her head rested against his shoulder. Thank you. He walked. Cars honked. Dust rose. He counted street poles to keep his mind steady. 1, 2, 3, 4. He passed a billboard with a smiling woman in a suit. He passed a small kiosk where a man sold bananas and water. He passed people who stared and then looked away. Benjamin's legs shook, but he kept moving. 1 kilometer felt like a mountain. At last, he saw the hospital gate. White walls. Blue sign. Nurses in white moving fast. Help! Benjamin shouted. Please! Nurses ran out with a stretcher. Hands took Sophia from his arms. A nurse checked her pulse and nodded. She's breathing. Move. The stretcher rolled through the door. The smell of antiseptic hit Benjamin's nose. He followed, heart racing, eyes stinging. In the bright emergency ward, voices rose and fell. Get IV ready. Check BP. Call the doctor now. The team moved like a dance, quick and sharp. A nurse turned to Benjamin. Are you family? I found her. She was under the bridge. We need a deposit. Her condition is serious. Benjamin froze. Money. He had none. He had a life made of paper and memory. He reached into his nylon bag with shaking hands and pulled out his certificates, the ones that told a story no one wanted to hear, from a man in a torn coat. Please, he said, placing them on the counter like gold. This is all I have. Keep it, save her. I will find the money. The nurse looked at him, then at the papers, then at the stretcher disappearing behind swinging doors. She bit her lip and nodded. We can start. But please, hurry. Benjamin turned and ran. He ran out the hospital door and into the bright day. He had no plan. He only had a promise. He would find money. He would do anything. He would beg. He would clean cars. He would knock on office doors until one opened. He rushed toward the road, eyes darting, head full of fear and hope. A horn blared. Tires screamed. Someone shouted, "Watch out!" Benjamin turned his head. A car flashed in the Sunday. A dark shape hit him hard. He was hit by a car. The world flipped. Then nothing. When the light slowly came back, it came in pieces, beeping sounds, cold air on his face, a sharp pain blooming behind his eyes. Benjamin tried to move, but heavy darkness pulled him down again. Voices floated above him like birds. Head trauma. Internal bleeding. Fast. Prepare him now. Doors swung. Rubber shoes squeaked. Metal trays clicked. Somewhere, not far away, a heart monitor kept time. Inside the next ward, Sophia lay on an operating table under bright lamps. Doctors spoke in calm, fast voices. A nurse counted tools. Another set up the IV. Sophia's face was pale, her lashes wet, her chest moving in small, careful breaths. Stay with me, a nurse whispered. Across the hallway, the second emergency team pushed Benjamin into surgery. His torn coat had been cut away. His dirty beard had been wiped clean. His hands, the same hands that carried a stranger through dust and noise, lay open and still. Time stretched. Machines hummed. Outside, the city kept roaring, but inside the hospital, the fight was quiet and serious. 2 rooms, 2 lives, 2 stories now tied together by a broken road and a hard choice. Hours passed like slow rain. A red light above the door clicked off. A doctor stepped out from Sophia's room, face tired but soft. She made it to recovery. Watch her closely. Another doctor stepped out from Benjamin's room, face tight, voice low. We did what we could. He's alive, but he's slipping. We need a miracle. Evening fell, painting the hospital windows gold. In the recovery area, Sophia lay still. The world outside called her name in faraway echoes. Board meetings, news headlines, a mansion in Banana Island, a life full of power. But her mind, like a lost child, walked back under the bridge to the moment a stranger lifted her from the ground. Her eyelids fluttered. She opened her eyes. White ceiling. Quiet machines. A nurse gasped. She's awake. Sophia tried to speak. Where is he? Who? The nurse asked. The man who carried me, Sophia whispered. Where is he? The nurse glanced toward the ward across the hall. He's here. But his condition is very serious. Sophia tried to sit up, but pain pulled her down. Tears filled her eyes. She took the nurse's phone with shaking fingers and dialed a number she knew by heart. Amanda. She breathed when the call connected, her voice breaking. It's me. On the other end, her personal assistant screamed and started crying. Madam, you've been missing for 2 weeks. Where are you? Are you safe? Sophia closed her eyes as tears rolled down her cheeks. I'm at City Care Hospital. Bring the security team. Bring the convoy. Bring everything. And listen, there is a man here. He saved my life. Now he is dying. Her voice steadied, a spark of steel under the softness. He must not die. Outside the ward, the hallway lights flickered as footsteps began to run. And as the sound grew louder, a new alarm suddenly burst from Benjamin's room, sharp, fast, urgent. The line on the monitor spiked, then fell, then flat. The doors swung open. "Code blue," a voice shouted. Sophia grabbed the bed rail, eyes wide, heart pounding. "Benjamin!" she cried just as the doctors rushed in and the ward lights flashed red. The flat sound of the heart monitor still echoed in Sophia's ears long after the doctors rushed into Benjamin's ward. She lay in her hospital bed, trembling, gripping the rails so tightly that her knuckles turned white. She had survived, but her savior was now dancing on the thin line between life and death. Sophia Williams had never felt powerless before. She was the woman everyone feared in boardrooms and adored in the press. As the CEO of Williams Group, her name carried weight across Nigeria and beyond. Yet here she was dressed in a stained hospital gown, her hair undone, tears streaking her cheeks, watching as a homeless man who had no reason to help her now fought for his life. Her personal assistant, Amanda, burst into the room with 3 security guards behind her. "Madam," she cried, rushing to Sophia's side. "Thank God. They said you were missing, that the kidnappers." Sophia raised her hand weakly. "Not now, Amanda. Forget me. The man, the one who saved me, he is in there. Save him." Amanda froze. She glanced at the guards, confused. "A man?" Sophia's voice cracked, but her eyes burned with fire. "Yes, a man in a torn coat. He carried me from under the bridge. He should be dead already, but he isn't, and he won't be. Do you understand me?" Amanda nodded quickly. "Yes, Mum. Yes." The hospital staff, now realizing who exactly lay in their ward, started to scramble. Nurses whispered. The chief medical officer arrived, bowing slightly, promising they would do everything humanly possible. But Sophia's eyes stayed on the door that separated her from Benjamin. Hours later, the storm of activity in Benjamin's ward settled into a heavy silence. A doctor stepped out, his mask pulled down, his expression grave. "We managed to stabilize him, but the damage to his skull is severe. He may never walk again, if he ever wakes." Sophia's heart dropped, but then steadied. "No," she said firmly. "He will wake, and if you cannot save him here, I will find someone who can." The doctor hesitated, then bowed his head. For 4 long days, Sophia remained in the hospital. She refused to leave, despite Amanda's pleading that her family, her company, her world, all demanded her return. Security teams filled the corridors. Expensive cars lined the parking lot. The media sniffed around, but were kept away by men in black suits. On the 4th day, Sophia's strength returned enough for her to rise from bed. She walked carefully into the ward where Benjamin lay unconscious. Machines beeped steadily. His head was bandaged, his face pale but calm. His chest rose and fell, reminding her that life still clung to him. Sophia pulled a chair close and sat beside him. For a long time, she just looked at him. The unshaven beard, the calloused hands, the torn spirit hiding inside that still body. She reached out, brushing her fingers lightly over his hand. "You saved me when no one else would stop," she whispered. "Taxis drove past. People looked away. But you carried me. And now they say you may never walk again. I won't accept that. You shouldn't suffer for saving me." Tears welled in her eyes, but her voice was steel. "I promise you, Benjamin, if you wake up, I will change your life. You won't return to that bridge. Not ever." That evening, Sophia made a call that shocked the hospital management. Within hours, her private jet was arranged, equipped with a full medical unit. Benjamin was carefully transferred, guarded like a treasure. Sophia boarded alongside him with Amanda and 2 aides. As the plane lifted into the night sky, Sophia sat near Benjamin's stretcher, her eyes never leaving his face. The hum of the engines filled the silence, but her mind replayed everything: the mud on her suit, his arms holding her, the desperate walk to the hospital. "He must not die," she whispered again, her fingers gripping his hand. The hospital was one of the best in the world, its walls gleaming white, its halls buzzing with quiet efficiency. Specialists gathered, studying Benjamin's case. Words like craniotomy, hemorrhage, paralysis floated through the air. Sophia listened to every word, her jaw tight. The lead surgeon finally looked at her and said, "If he wakes, he may never walk again." Sophia's eyes flared. "Then make him walk. Do whatever it takes." The surgeon nodded, though doubt lingered in his eyes. The surgery lasted hours. Sophia prayed silently, something she had not done in years. When the doors finally opened, the surgeon said, "The operation was successful. Now we wait." 3 days later, as the morning sun poured into the ward, Benjamin's eyes flickered. Slowly, painfully, they opened. He blinked at the ceiling, confused, then turned his head slightly. His gaze landed on Sophia. "You!" His voice was a dry whisper. "You're alive!" Sophia's heart leaped. She leaned closer. "Yes, Benjamin, thanks to you." He tried to smile, but winced at the pain. Tears slipped from his eyes. "I thought I lost you." Sophia took his hand. "No, you found me, and now I won't lose you." On the 5th day, something happened that stunned the doctors. Benjamin moved his toes, then his foot. By afternoon, he tried to sit up. The doctors rushed in, exclaiming, shaking their heads in disbelief. "This is impossible." The damage was too great, but Sophia only smiled through her tears. "Nothing is impossible for a man who carried me for 1 kilometer when the world ignored me." With her support, Benjamin tried again, standing on trembling legs. One step, then another, and another. Each movement was like defiance, shouted in the face of fate. Sophia held his arm, steadying him. "You're walking, Benjamin. Do you see? You're walking." Benjamin looked at her, his face wet with tears. "I thought my life was finished. But maybe it isn't." Sophia's voice softened, carrying the weight of promise. "No, your life is only beginning." Their return flight to Nigeria was quieter, filled with something unspoken. Benjamin sat upright now, dressed in clean clothes Sophia's aides had bought. The transformation was startling. He no longer looked like the forgotten man from under the bridge. As the private jet soared above the clouds, Sophia asked gently, "Tell me, Benjamin, how did you end up there? A man like you doesn't belong under a bridge." Benjamin looked down at his hands, silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he began to speak. "I was once a cybersecurity expert. I built systems, protected companies. I had a wife, a home. But one night, she took everything. My savings, my work, even my peace. She ran away, left me with nothing. And just like that, my world shattered." His voice cracked. "I lost everything, Sophia, and I never recovered." Sophia listened, her heart tightening with every word. When he finished, she placed her hand over his. "You saved me, Benjamin. Now let me save you. When we land, you will not go back to the bridge. You will work with me as the head of cybersecurity at Williams Group. You will start again." Benjamin's eyes widened, disbelief written across his face. You would do that for me?" Sophia smiled, her voice steady. "You gave me my life. Now it's my turn to give you yours." And as the jet cut through the night sky toward Lagos, Benjamin felt something he thought he had lost forever: hope. But neither of them knew that their return would spark more than just a second chance. Shadows were waiting back home. Secrets buried deep were about to surface. And love, fragile but powerful, would be tested in ways they could not yet imagine. The return to Lagos was supposed to feel like triumph. Sophia's jet touched down at Murtala Muhammad International Airport under the fading glow of the evening sun, its white body glinting against the tarmac. Inside the cabin, Benjamin sat upright, his hands folded nervously in his lap, still stunned by the strange turn his life had taken. He had left Nigeria's gutters behind only days earlier, half dead, and now returned in clothes finer than he had worn in years. Sitting across from one of the most powerful women in Africa, Sophia leaned toward him. "When we step out, there will be cameras. Ignore them. Walk beside me. You are under my protection now." Benjamin nodded, though unease swirled in his chest. He wasn't used to protection. He was used to hiding. As the doors opened, the flashing of cameras began. Reporters shouted questions. "Madam Williams, where were you taken? Who is the man with you? Is it true you were rescued by a beggar?" Sophia's security team closed ranks, shielding them as they hurried toward a convoy of sleek black SUVs. Benjamin caught his reflection in the tinted glass, his face thinner, bruises still healing, yet alive. But behind them, unnoticed, another black SUV lingered at a distance, its headlights dimmed. Inside, two men sat in silence, one whispering into a phone. "They're moving. She's protecting him. We can't let that happen." The convoy wound through the bustling streets of Lagos, neon lights and honking horns painting the night. Benjamin sat stiffly in the back seat, beside Sophia. He looked out at the city he once called his own, now a place that had chewed him up and spat him out. Sophia broke the silence. Tomorrow, you will come to my office. I'll introduce you to the board. They may resist, but they will obey. Benjamin frowned. Sophia, I don't belong in your world. Your board will never trust a man who slept under bridges. Sophia's eyes locked on his. They will trust you because I trust you. You saved me, Benjamin, and I don't abandon the people who save me. Her words warmed him, but before he could reply, the convoy screeched to a sudden halt. Tires squealed. Ahead, a truck blocked the road. Behind them, the suspicious SUV cut across, boxing them in. The lead security guard leaped from the first car, gun drawn. Stay down, he barked. Within seconds, masked men spilled out of the SUV. Armed, organized. The night erupted into chaos, shouts, gunfire, the screech of engines. Benjamin instinctively pushed Sophia down, shielding her as bullets shattered glass. He could hear his heart pounding louder than the gunshots. Stay low, he shouted, his body covering hers. One of the guards fired back, taking down a masked man. Another guard dragged open the door, pulling Sophia out to safety. But as Benjamin scrambled after her, two attackers lunged at him. They pinned him against the SUV, fists slamming into his ribs. You shouldn't have come back, one hissed, gripping his collar. You should have died under that bridge. Benjamin's vision blurred, rage sparking inside him. With a strength he thought long buried, he elbowed one in the gut and grabbed the other's wrist, twisting until the weapon clattered to the ground. The fight was messy, raw, fueled by survival. He was losing breath when one of Sophia's guards shot into the air, scattering the attackers. The remaining men fled into the night, leaving behind the smoking chaos of failed abduction. Minutes later, they were safe inside Sophia's mansion at Banana Island. The towering gates closed behind them, security doubled, guards stationed at every corner. The luxurious marble floors and chandeliers contrasted cruelly with the fear that still lingered in Benjamin's chest. Sophia paced the grand living room, fury etched on her face. They dared to attack me, in my city. Amanda, her assistant, whispered, Ma'am, the police have been alerted. But this was no ordinary attack. They knew your route. Sophia's jaw tightened. Inside betrayal. Someone fed them information. Benjamin sat quietly, clutching a glass of water. The words of his attacker replayed in his mind. You should have died under that bridge. Why would strangers know him? Why target him? Sophia noticed his silence. She sat beside him, her tone softer. Benjamin, they were after me, not you. Don't blame yourself. But Benjamin shook his head. No, that man, he knew me. Or at least, he knew of me. This isn't just about you, Sophia. This is about both of us. Sophia frowned, studying him carefully. Benjamin, what exactly did you work on before you lost everything? He hesitated, then spoke. I was a cybersecurity expert, but not just for businesses. I built firewalls for banks, government agencies. I handled information, sensitive information. When my wife betrayed me, I thought I had only lost money, family, peace. But maybe I lost more. Maybe someone wanted me erased. The room fell into heavy silence. Later that night, Benjamin stood at the balcony of his guest room, looking out at the glittering skyline of Lagos. For years, he had watched these lights from under bridges, from shadows, always feeling like an outcast. Now, he stood inside luxury, but danger lurked closer than ever. A knock on the door pulled him from his thoughts. Sophia entered, her silk robe flowing behind her. She looked tired but strong, her eyes softer now. I wanted to thank you, she said. You saved me again tonight. Benjamin shook his head. I only reacted. It's your guards who saved us. No, Sophia said firmly. It was you who threw yourself in front of me. Twice now, you've risked your life for mine. I won't forget that. They stood in silence, the night air wrapping around them. For a moment, Sophia's hand brushed his arm, a spark passing between them. Benjamin felt his chest tighten, emotions he thought, long buried, stirring inside. But Sophia pulled back quickly, her eyes clouding. You should rest. Tomorrow will be difficult. The board won't welcome you easily. And now, with these attacks, we must be careful whom we trust. Benjamin nodded, though unease gnawed at him. Sophia, he said quietly, whoever is behind this, they don't just want you silenced. They want me gone too. And until we find out why, none of us are safe. Sophia's gaze lingered on him, a storm of questions in her eyes. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "Then we will fight them. Together." Unseen from the balcony, across the lagoon waters, the same black SUV idled under the cover of night. Inside, a man with sharp eyes scrolled through Benjamin's old government files on a laptop. A photo of Benjamin, younger and smiling in a corporate suit, glowed on the screen. The man smirked and made a call. "Yes, it's him. The ghost we thought buried. He's alive, and if Sophia protects him, she'll fall with him." The next morning, the polished glass towers of Williams Group gleamed against the Lagos Sunday. Inside, the boardroom was already packed. The directors, men and women in tailored suits, whispered among themselves as they shuffled papers and adjusted gold cufflinks. They had heard rumors. Their CEO had returned with a strange companion, a man pulled from the streets. The double doors opened. Sophia Williams entered with her usual commanding grace, her black suit sharp, her pearl necklace glinting beneath the chandeliers. Behind her, Benjamin followed nervously in a clean grey suit provided by Sophia's tailor. His posture was stiff, his eyes darting to the expensive art and the massive mahogany table. He felt like an intruder in a place he once dreamed of belonging. The murmurs rose into audible scoffs. "Is this a joke?" one director whispered. "A homeless man? Here?" Another sneered. Sophia raised her hand and silence fell. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Benjamin. He saved my life when no one else would lift a finger. Today I am appointing him as the new head of cybersecurity for Williams Group." The room erupted. "Impossible," shouted Chief Bamidele, a heavy-set man with a booming voice. "Madam, with respect, we cannot risk this company on some stray from the streets." "Yes," another chimed in. "What will investors say? A beggar managing billion-dollar data." Benjamin felt their words cut into him, but Sophia's voice silenced them again, sharper than steel. "Investors will say, I value loyalty above all else. This man has qualifications none of you can imagine. Degrees, certifications, experience, and most importantly, he has proven integrity, something I cannot say about all of you." The directors shifted uncomfortably, some glaring, others lowering their eyes. Benjamin rose slowly, his voice calm but steady. "I understand your doubts. I was once like you, sitting at polished tables, speaking in boardrooms. But life took everything from me. I lived under bridges. I starved. I was beaten. Yet when I saw your CEO bleeding under that same bridge, I carried her through the streets because it was the right thing to do. If you think I don't deserve a second chance, then ask yourselves, do you?" The room fell into heavy silence. Sophia's gaze swept across the table. "The matter is settled. Benjamin stays, and if any of you oppose him, you oppose me." Reluctantly, the directors nodded. But as Sophia adjourned the meeting, Benjamin noticed the cold stares. He wasn't welcome. Not yet. Later that afternoon, Benjamin sat in his new office. It was modest compared to the CEO's suite, but grander than anything he had seen in years. A sleek laptop glowed on his desk. He pressed his fingers against the keyboard, and for the first time in so long, he felt like himself again. Lines of code filled the screen, passwords decrypted, firewalls tightened. The system came alive under his touch. But as he worked, something strange caught his eye. Hidden deep in the company's servers were traces of intrusion, encrypted footprints left behind by skilled hackers. Benjamin's stomach tightened. Someone was already inside Williams Group. Someone with dangerous access. Before he could dig deeper, a knock sounded at the door. Amanda, Sophia's assistant, slipped in, her brow furrowed. "Benjamin, be careful. Not everyone in this company wants you here. Some of the board members are furious." Benjamin leaned back, sighing. "I can feel it. They look at me like I'm dirt. But Sophia trusts me. That's all that matters." Amanda hesitated, then added quietly, "There's more. Chief Bamidele has been meeting secretly with outsiders. I don't know who, but I overheard him saying, 'We can't let the ghost stay alive.'" The phrase froze Benjamin. The ghost. It was the same word his attacker had used. "Thank you, Amanda," he said, masking his fear. "Don't tell Sophia yet. I'll handle this." That evening, Sophia invited Benjamin to her private residence within Banana Island. The mansion was quieter than usual, candles flickering across the dining table. She sat opposite him, her hair flowing freely, her eyes softer than the iron mask she wore at work. "You impressed me today," she said, pouring him a glass of wine. "You faced those jackals without fear." Benjamin smiled faintly. "Fear never leaves, Sophia. I just learned how to hide it." They ate in silence for a moment, the tension between them more than professional. Finally, Benjamin said, "Sophia, your company has been breached. Someone's inside your systems. This isn't just corporate rivalry, it's personal. They're after you and me." Sophia's face hardened. "Do you know who?" "Not yet. But I found traces. Whoever they are, they're good. And they have help from the inside." Sophia leaned closer. "Then find them. Expose them. I trust you, Benjamin. With my company. And with my life." For a long moment, their eyes locked. Benjamin felt his chest tighten. He wanted to say something more, something dangerous. But before he could, the mansion's head of security rushed in, his face pale. "Madam, forgive me, but we've received word. There's been a breach at the company vault. Someone accessed sensitive financial files. And," he hesitated, looking at Benjamin, "they used his old government clearance codes." Sophia's eyes widened. "What?" Benjamin rose instantly, shock in his voice. "That's impossible. I haven't touched those codes in years. Someone is framing me." The guard shifted uncomfortably. "With respect, sir, the evidence points to you." Sophia's gaze darted between Benjamin and the guard. Doubt flickered in her eyes, but she steadied herself. "No, Benjamin is with me. He saved me. He would never betray me." Benjamin clenched his fists, anger and fear swirling. "Someone is setting me up. They want me out of the way. Sophia, if we don't act fast, they'll destroy both of us." Late that night, Benjamin returned to his office, determined to trace the digital footprints. He typed furiously, bypassing firewalls, chasing the phantom trail. And then, he saw it, an IP address, hidden under layers of deception. He followed it, heart pounding, until the screen revealed a name. Benjamin's breath caught. Chief Bamidel, the very man who had opposed him, was behind the breach. But the files he accessed weren't ordinary. They were tied to offshore accounts, secret transfers, money siphoned quietly for years. Before Benjamin could alert Sophia, his office lights flickered. The computer screen went black. A distorted voice crackled from the speakers. "You should have stayed under the bridge, Benjamin. You're playing a game you cannot win." Benjamin spun around, but the office was empty. The voice echoed like a ghost. On the black screen, red words appeared one by one. "Phase 2 begins tonight." The red words glowed on Benjamin's screen. "Phase 2 begins tonight." He sat frozen in the darkened office, his pulse hammering in his ears. Whoever had spoken through the computer wasn't just a hacker. They were inside the very walls of Williams Group, inside his life. And they wanted him destroyed. Benjamin slammed his hands on the desk and rose to his feet. He couldn't let fear paralyze him. Not again. Not when Sophia had placed her trust in him. By dawn, Sophia called an emergency meeting. She had spent a restless night pacing her mansion, her mind torn between fury and doubt. The board had already been whispering. Benjamin was dangerous. Benjamin was a fraud. Benjamin was the leak. And now this evidence pointing to him. As the directors gathered around the long mahogany table, Benjamin stood at Sophia's side, his face pale but determined. Chief Bamidele, his voice dripping with false righteousness, spoke first. "Madam Williams, this man has been nothing but a curse since you brought him here. He carries the stench of the gutter, and now the company's vault has been breached under his name. How long will you defend him?" Several directors nodded in agreement. "We cannot risk the company on a street beggar," one muttered. Sophia's palm slammed against the table, making pens jump. "Enough. Benjamin is not the problem. The problem is betrayal within this very room." Bamidele's eyes narrowed. "Are you accusing your board, madam?" "I am saying," Sophia replied coldly, "that whoever is behind this wants us to fight each other, and I won't give them that victory." Benjamin cleared his throat. His voice trembled at first, but gained strength as he spoke. "Yes, the breach used my old clearance codes. But that only proves one thing. Someone who knew my past is using it against me. Ask yourselves, who here benefits if I fall? Who here wants Sophia isolated and unprotected?" The board fell into murmurs. Sophia scanned their faces. She saw fear, guilt, anger. But one face stood too still, too calm. Bamidele's. After the meeting, Benjamin rushed back to his office. He had to prove the truth. He dove into the system again, tracing the hidden trails. Hours passed. His fingers flew over the keyboard, his mind racing. And then he found it encrypted files linked to offshore accounts, tied directly to a shell company under Bamidele's name. Benjamin's chest tightened. The man who shouted loudest against him was the very snake bleeding Williams Group dry. He saved the evidence, preparing to show Sophia. But just as he reached for his phone, the office door burst open. 2 uniformed police officers stormed in. Benjamin Adewale, one barked. "You're under arrest for cyber theft and corporate espionage." Benjamin's eyes widened. "What? No, this is a setup." The officers seized his arms, snapping cold steel cuffs around his wrists. He struggled, shouting, "Sophia, call Sophia." But the boardroom cameras were already rolling, capturing the humiliating scene. Benjamin was dragged through the corridors, employees whispering, some sneering, others pitying. The same man who once carried Sophia from death was now treated like a criminal. At the police station, the air smelled of sweat and dust. Benjamin sat in a cold cell, his mind spinning. Hours turned into darkness. He thought of Sophia. Would she believe him? Or had Bamidele already poisoned her mind? Suddenly, footsteps echoed. The cell door creaked open. Sophia appeared, flanked by her lawyer and 2 guards. She was furious, her eyes blazing. Benjamin leaped to his feet. "Sophia, you have to believe me. I found proof. Bamidele is behind it. She raised a hand, silencing him. For a moment, doubt flickered in her eyes, but then she said firmly, "I know. My lawyer traced the accounts. Your evidence was right. Bamidele has been siphoning funds for years. He framed you to cover his trail." Benjamin exhaled, relief flooding him. "Then, let me out. We must stop him before—" Sophia's expression darkened. "Before phase 2. They're moving fast. My sources say tonight, Bamidele's men will attack again. This time, they're not after my company. They're after my life." By midnight, Sophia's mansion became a fortress. Guards lined the gates, lights illuminated every corner, and armored cars stood ready. But Benjamin sensed it. Danger pressed closer. In her study, Sophia paced restlessly. "Bamidele will pay," she whispered. "But why target you, Benjamin? What do you have that he fears so much?" Benjamin sank into a chair, his hands trembling. "When I worked for the government, I built a firewall, a program that could expose secret offshore accounts. Corrupt officials, money launderers. Bamidele must have known. He thought I was gone forever. But now that I'm back, his empire is at risk." Sophia froze. "Then, this isn't just about me. It's about your past colliding with my present." Before Benjamin could answer, a deafening blast shook the mansion. Windows shattered, alarms blared. Shouts erupted as armed men stormed the gates. Benjamin grabbed Sophia, pulling her down as bullets tore through the study. "Stay low," he shouted again, déjà vu crashing over him. Guards returned fire, but the attackers pushed forward with ruthless precision. One masked man burst into the room, gun raised. Benjamin lunged, tackling him to the ground. They fought savagely, fists slamming, until Benjamin ripped off the mask, revealing a young man, eyes wild with fear. "Who sent you?" Benjamin demanded, pinning him down. The man spat blood, whispering, "The ghost must vanish. Tonight, you both die." Before Benjamin could press further, another explosion rocked the mansion. Smoke filled the halls. Sophia grabbed Benjamin's hand, her voice hoarse but steady. "We can't stay here. If Bamidele wants a war, then tomorrow we'll take the fight to him. But tonight we survive." They escaped through a hidden passage beneath the mansion, a tunnel Sophia's father had built decades ago. Emerging into the humid night air, they ran across the shoreline, the lagoon glimmering under the moonlight. Behind them, the mansion burned, smoke curling into the sky like a warning. Benjamin stopped, panting, staring at the flames. "He won't stop until we're gone. Sophia, this isn't just about money anymore. This is about power. If we don't end him, he will end us." Sophia's eyes glistened with tears, but her voice was like steel. "Then we end him. Together." From the shadows of the lagoon, a sleek boat drifted closer. On board stood Chief Bamidele, phone in hand, his eyes gleaming with triumph. As he watched the inferno consume Sophia's mansion, he raised the phone to his ear. Phase 2 is complete. Tomorrow, we move to Phase 3. By the time the dust settles, Benjamin and Sophia will be nothing but ashes. The night sky above Banana Island still glowed with the fading embers of Sophia's mansion. Smoke curled into the heavens like the memory of everything lost. Sophia and Benjamin, hidden beneath the cover of the lagoon, watched in silence. The attack had shaken them to their core, but it had also carved one truth into their hearts. There could be no peace until Bamidele was stopped. Benjamin turned to Sophia, his face set with grim resolve. "We can't run anymore. Tomorrow this ends, one way or another." Sophia's eyes shone with fire. "Yes, tomorrow, we take the fight to him." At dawn, Williams Group's headquarters buzzed with unusual tension. Armed security flanked the building. The board members sat stiffly, their eyes darting nervously toward Chief Bamidele, who wore a smug expression. He rose from his seat, pretending authority. "Madam Williams has clearly lost control. She allows a gutter rat to taint our company, and last night her mansion burned. Investors are terrified. I say we vote her out and take back control." Whispers rippled through the room, but before the motion could proceed, the heavy doors swung open. Benjamin entered, carrying a thick folder and a flash drive. His eyes locked on Bamidele's, unflinching. Sophia followed close behind. "Before you cast your vote," Benjamin said firmly, "you should know who has been stealing from you all these years." He connected the drive to the large projector. Instantly, the screens flickered with spreadsheets, transaction logs, and account details, millions siphoned into hidden accounts under Bamidele's name. Gasps filled the room. "This is a lie," Bamidele barked, sweat suddenly glistening on his forehead. "He forged this." Benjamin stepped closer. "Really? Because I traced the trail right to your shell company in Panama. I rebuilt the firewall you thought you erased. Every theft, every cover-up, it's all here. You betrayed Sophia. You betrayed Williams Group." Sophia's voice thundered, cutting through the panic. "Guards, arrest him." The room erupted as security stormed in. Bamidele fought, shouting curses, but the evidence was undeniable. The same directors who once mocked Benjamin now turned away from Bamidele in shame. He was dragged from the boardroom, his empire crumbling. Sophia looked at Benjamin, her chest rising with relief. For the first time in weeks, she felt safe. In the weeks that followed, Williams Group stabilized. The media praised Sophia for exposing corruption. Investors returned, reassured by her iron will and Benjamin's quiet brilliance. But beyond business, something deeper was growing. Every evening, Sophia and Benjamin sat together, sometimes in her office, sometimes on the balcony of her rebuilt mansion, discussing strategies, investments, and even dreams. Benjamin's insight amazed her. His ability to see risks and opportunities reminded her why she trusted him more than anyone. One evening, Sophia leaned back in her chair, gazing at him. "I don't know how I survived before you came. You've become more than an advisor. You've become my anchor." Benjamin smiled faintly. "And you've become my redemption. Without you, I would still be under that bridge. Forgotten." Their eyes lingered on each other, the silence filled with emotions they dared not speak aloud. It was on a quiet night, the city lights glittering across the lagoon, that Sophia finally broke the silence. She stood beside Benjamin on her balcony, her heart pounding. She reached for his hand, her voice trembling but steady. "I can't keep dying in silence," she whispered. "Benjamin, I can't deny the joy you brought to my life after saving me. Will you allow this relationship to grow more than this? And marry me?" Benjamin's eyes widened, tears forming. Slowly, he knelt before her, his voice breaking. "Sophia, I thought of this moment every day. A month ago, I bought a ring, but fear kept me from giving it to you. Tonight, I won't hold back." With shaking hands, he pulled out the small box. Sophia gasped, her heart racing. He slid the ring onto her finger, tears streaming down both their faces. They embraced under the night sky, their love finally free. 2 months later, Lagos witnessed a wedding like no other. The hall glittered with gold chandeliers and crystal decor. Celebrities, dignitaries, and foreign investors filled the seats. Choirs sang. Flowers rained. Cameras flashed. Sophia walked down the aisle in a flowing white lace gown, her veil glistening with tiny diamonds. Benjamin, in a regal white agbada with gold embroidery, waited with trembling hands, tears of gratitude spilling down his cheeks. When the pastor declared them husband and wife, the hall erupted in cheers. Sophia and Benjamin embraced, their kiss sealing not just a marriage, but a destiny rewritten. For Benjamin, who once slept on cardboard under a bridge, this moment was nothing short of a miracle. But marriage brought its own battles. Months passed, then years. No child came. At first, they waited with hope. Then came the tests, the doctors, the specialists. Each hospital said the same. Nothing was wrong. Yet still, no child. The whispers began: friends, relatives, the media. A billionaire couple with no heir. Some mocked, some pitied. But the pain belonged only to Sophia and Benjamin. After 6 years, one evening as the sun dipped low, Sophia sat beside Benjamin in their living room. Tears shimmered in her eyes. Maybe this is our fate. Maybe children will never come. But Benjamin, thank you for saving me. When everyone ignored me. For standing by me. Benjamin took her hands in his voice thick with emotion. Sophia, with or without children, my love for you will never change. You gave me a second chance at life. Without you, I'd still be rotting under that bridge. You are my family, my everything. Tears flowed freely as they embraced, holding each other tightly, finding strength in love even when fate denied them one dream. The world outside saw power, wealth, and glamour. But inside, Sophia and Benjamin were simply two souls bound by fire and grace. They had survived betrayal, kidnapping, corporate wars, and heartbreak. What remained was a love unshakable, forged in suffering and crowned in loyalty. As they held each other on that quiet evening, both whispered the same silent prayer that the future, no matter what it brought, would never separate them again. And though the mansion around them glowed with luxury, the greatest treasure they had was not gold, not shares, not children, but the second chance at life and love they had given each other. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.